Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? I am Trish Lee, and welcome for coming to my show. As always, every Friday we have Ask Trish Anything, and for today I have a really special guest with me because we'll be addressing about intentional parenting and how you can juggle everything as a working parent. So I'm really excited. First, let me share with you what's the question I picked for today, and the question is, as a wife and working mom, how can I manage my time to do all the housework, take care of the family, work, and without losing my sanity? Especially if I don't live near my parents and I'm unable to hire a maid. So without further ado, let me welcome my special guest, Tabitha Cee. Hello, Tabitha.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, for all of you watching, please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section and we will address it at the end of the show. So, Tabitha, please do share with all of us what do you do and a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. So I live in Alaska with my husband and we are raising our kids here, and we have a 2-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son.
Nice.
My background is I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and in Spanish and a master's in business.
Okay.
And I worked in the corporate world. And then when we had our son, I was very surprised to discover that I wanted to be with him more. And I had always thought I'd be a career mom. And so we were on that path. And so I worked full time until I got pregnant with our daughter. I knew that we had to make some changes in order for me to have more time with my kids, because not only would I not be with them, but they wouldn't be together. And that idea just broke my heart. So I just work part-time now outside the home 2 days a week. And then I write on my blog and run my business in the fringe hours.
Okay. Oh, you have a blog. How long have you been writing a blog?
You know, I started it when I first got pregnant with our son, and it was just kind of a fun way to share pregnancy, connect with other moms, share tips and tricks about, what was working well during pregnancy and struggles and solutions. And that was kind of how it started, and it's evolved over time.
Nice. I have a small confession here. Years ago, I tried blogging, but OMG, I did not know how much of work it actually, goes into preparing just one blog post. So kudos to you for doing it for years, because it's not easy, woman. It's not easy.
Well, when I first started, I was like, oh, okay, so I will just, it's kind of like Dear Diary, and let me just share my thoughts. And then I was like, got more into it. I was like, oh, okay, so writing the blog post is about 2% of the work.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. So yeah, it is longer.
Yeah, I totally get you. So do share with me, Tabitha. So what got you into becoming a mom life coach? Like, did you experience a low point in your life? Was there a challenge? Did you maybe experience depression? Or what was that point that pushed you to do what you do?
Yeah, so I don't know if you and your viewers are familiar with the Enneagram at all, but I am an Enneagram 2, which means I just really like helping other people, and that's a major driver for me. And so early motherhood, as I mentioned, I was working full time, and I felt really unhappy with how little time I had with our son, and just motherhood was not at all what I expected. I don't know exactly what I expected, but things were so much harder than I anticipated. It was so different than anything that I'd heard. And I felt just kind of frustrated that it wasn't as joyful as I felt like it seemed like it was supposed to be. And, there's some loneliness where you're kind of doing all of this. It feels like totally by yourself. And you're like, why didn't anyone tell me this was going to be
no one told you.
And so anything that I figured out, anything that I learned worked for me. I just wanted to share that with other moms. If there was any way that I could make their lives a little bit easier by teaching them anything that I've learned. And that was really where it started.
It's really interesting. Even for me, before I became a mom, you see every mom and their kids, and you're like, oh, they're so sweet, they're so nice. I'm sure parenting is really great. And everybody says, oh, yeah, having kids is a joy in your life. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but at the same time, there's actually a lot of challenging moments which comes with that exhaustion. And as you said, loneliness, a bit of depression, which I had actually for the first 6-8 months after I gave birth. And I guess not many parents, especially those with your close friends, they don't really talk about it. And maybe they don't want to scare you. I don't know. Or maybe it was me who I saw it, but I didn't recognize that there was challenges. You know what I mean?
And I think part of it too is that like experiential learning, like someone
Right.
can tell you everything and you would not understand until you
Correct.
go through it yourself. And it puts you in kind of a challenging position, and you can try to share, but at the same time, you don't want to, like you said, scare anyone or talk about the negative things.
Right.
And there are such beautiful, joyful moments, and you do want to make sure you focus on those. But it feels like a bit of a trap at first because, your expectations are not met in a lot of ways.
Tabitha, touching on this, something just came to mind, and I feel that sometimes even with my close girlfriends, they tell you, oh yeah, it's nice with my daughter or my son, we're doing this and this. But when you really sit down with them and you talk to them, and then I start sharing with them about my challenges as a mom, and suddenly they start opening up, and it hits me, it's like, maybe many people don't talk about this because they are afraid to be seen as a failure. What do you think?
I completely agree. And I think especially in our generation where there's, the Instagram perfect and the Pinterest perfect, and
Right.
when you see that and it looks like everybody is achieving that.
Oh, it's so easy. Parenting is so easy.
Struggle, it's because it's you, like there's something wrong with you. And so I think
Correct.
a lot of people don't want to share that. And I'm finishing reading Untamed by Glennon Doyle, and she talks about how society and culture kind of gives each generation of moms a memo when they send us home with our babies.
Right.
And our generation got the memo, this is your baby, it completes you, you should be completely joyful, and if you don't love everything about your life, you need to seek counseling because there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
That is a huge burden because motherhood is incredible, but not in the moment. Like when you are sleep deprived and exhausted and the hormones, I mean, you feel legitimately insane sometimes.
Definitely. Sometimes I feel like pulling out all my hair, I swear. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge in itself. Parenting is not always just, beautiful flowers and smiling and stuff. So what's interesting for me is in your Instagram account, you mentioned about intentional parenting, and I'm really curious to learn more. Could you share more about this?
Yeah, and I maybe think about it a little bit differently than other people, but I think it is so important in anything in life, really, if you can begin with the end in mind.
Okay.
And I think that so many times we know as parents vaguely our values and what's important to us, but when we don't know concretely, we just kind of feel like we're free floating, and we raise our kids just reacting and just trying to mitigate the mayhem instead of knowing exactly what kind of children we want to raise, what kind of values we want to have, what kind of parent we want to be. And when we know that information, we're able to better react in the moment and better, we've already made the decision about the direction that we want to go. And even when things are hard, we know that it's for the greater good, and we know that we're on the path, and that helps us feel happier and more fulfilled because we know that even if there's a tough day or a temper tantrum, we know generally how we want to react because we know what kind of values we want to instill in our children and what kind of parent we want to be.
Okay. Would you say that intentional parenting is also trying to let go of trying to be a perfect parent in every aspect of your being a parent? Would you say that it's trying to be less focusing on being perfect versus trying to be, like you said, intentional?
I think so. I think perfection is really a terrible trap in pretty much every way, because when you're striving for perfection, you know, the great is the enemy of the good, because you are striving for perfection instead, and it just holds you back from feeling good about what you're doing, because perfection is pretty much impossible, and it is a constant struggle, and you'll never feel like you've arrived. You'll never feel like you've achieved. So certainly it's, you know, life is really about the process and making progress. And even if you know what your intentions are, that doesn't mean you're perfectly aligned every moment of every day.
Yeah.
It just helps guide you and sets your expectations in a healthy way, versus perfection is just an expectation that you'll never meet and will leave you feeling more like you're struggling and unfulfilled, versus an intention, you know, you're moving in the right direction.
Okay, beautiful. So Tabitha, my next question. So I'm also a working mom, you too. So for the person who asked me this question, I can really relate, because I too don't live near my parents. My parents are in Malaysia. My husband's parents are, although they're in Germany, but they're not nearby to us. So I can really relate the stress this person is feeling, you know, working and being a parent, and you can't get your parents to help you. So what would be your advice to try and gain back some peace, balance, and sanity in her life? So please.
Yes, my family lives far away too, so I definitely can relate to that struggle. They are in the state of Alaska, but it's a 12-hour drive, so it's definitely still a ways away. But it just, I think, you know, husband and wives are teams, and sometimes, especially as moms, we can struggle to ask for help even from our partners. And I know that when both working full-time, which again, disclaimer, I no longer work outside the home full-time, but I did for a few years. And it's just you know, seeing where maybe the husbands can help. And I have a super supportive, amazing husband, but I know a lot of times I've seen the statistics where very often if a man and woman work outside the home, the wife is expected to do all of her career work in addition to almost all of the housework. And so if your dynamic is set up that way, just to ask for help where you need it, and you might be pleasantly surprised, because even I like to wake up early in the mornings, but I also like my sleep.
Who doesn't?
So something that I learned for self-care was that I asked my husband if he would wake up early with the kids on Sunday so that I could sleep in and have that catch-up day and just know that I had that day. And I thought that he would feel kind of frustrated, like, okay, so I work full time, I only get 2 days off, like, how are you asking me for this? But he was totally supportive, and he was like, no problem. I mean, you get up and you work on your business early in the mornings, and you need that, you know, morning to sleep in as well. And something really cool happened is, so I sleep in and relax Sunday mornings, and then when I wake up, my husband and kids are snuggling on the couch watching cartoons.
So nice.
And we have time together, and I'm just like, man, I felt so guilty, like I shouldn't ask for help. And I expected there to be some backlash and resistance, and there was none. And then I was like, how beautiful that they got to have this special time together that they get to look forward to. And it's kind of their thing, and they love it.
So, that's great.
You know, just being more creative with options like that, or even if you have friends where you can swap childcare. So maybe you can have some time to yourself, or you and your husband can go on a date night. I think sometimes it just feels impossible, and so we stop trying to look for solutions. Maybe we just have to get more creative and think outside the box, and sometimes that sounds like too much effort. So I think there's definitely, where there's a will, there's a way. And it's definitely harder not having family. I can totally relate to that. And when you're both working full time, it's very, very busy to carve out that time and connection for everyone.
Yeah. You know, Tabitha, I really took the time to digest and reflect on the question that this person asked. And I do believe that there is actually two sides to this. Meaning to say, I have friends who live with their parents or their grandparents nearby. And they complain to me about different things. Like, oh, my parents, oh, they, pick on this is not good enough, this is not great. And then for me on the other side, it's like I'm stressing because I have no help. So like there's always a pro and a negative side to it. But also, sidetrack a little bit, is that even for myself, although sometimes my mother-in-law comes and it's nice, she wants to visit me, she wants to visit my daughter, but I guess she has this a little bit older thinking, like the woman must do everything. And when I just ask my husband for a little bit of help, my goodness, she gives me this dragon face, like, my God, you're such a loser. Really, she gives me this vibe, And really, I'm sad about this, and I've been trying for the past 5 years to try and build a connection with my mother-in-law. Sadly, it's just not been working. And I think that this is my experience, and I can't say this for everyone. Of course, everyone must decide for yourself what's the best thing to do for your life. But for me, I feel that when you have toxic people in your life, it creates negative vibes for yourself, and you put unnecessary pressure on yourself. And so every time when she's around, I feel that I'm just not good enough. I can do anything, do my best, give my best to my daughter, and yet she will just judge me. So I've just come to a point where let me just cut out all negativity. Seriously, although she's maybe family in a sense, but why do I need someone who judges me? And this, it affects my parenting skills. Do you know what I'm trying to say here?
I do, yeah. And I think the thing that is easier said than done, but important to remember, that the way she's reacting says more about her than it's about you.
Thank you.
And perhaps, especially generationally, like you said, maybe she had to do all of these things, and maybe she felt like she had to be a martyr, and maybe she feels a little resentful or jealous that you were getting the help that you're asking for, and she wishes that she could have had some help. And so certainly, I think whatever works best for you, and if your husband's there to support you, that does not make you any less. And I think that she is kind of reinforcing the exact reason so many moms struggle to ask for help.
Right.
They feel less than for not doing it all. But it's so important to remember that if a little help is going to make you feel happier, you're a better mom to your kids and a better wife to your husband. If you feel happier. Like, what is the point of doing everything to be a good mom and then you're miserable and frustrated and overwhelmed? That's not good for anyone. Like, I feel like the expression has gotten lost, but people forget, like, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Yeah, it's true. And it's true. Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that, because I feel a bit better. It's like, it's not nice because she's family, and yet at the same time I get penalized. I'm already really giving my best to balance it all. And like you said, it's not wrong to ask for help. And so to anyone who's watching this, I just want to put across the message that it's really not wrong to ask for help when you need it. And if someone is judging you, I think that's just too bad for them. So don't take it personally. Like you said, it might be just they are dealing with their own issues, but don't hesitate from asking for help. That's what I wanted to share.
Absolutely.
Okay, Tabitha, I have a case study for you. So let's say, example, if a couple, a husband and wife, they, like you said, they can make some, how do you say, give and take. So I'm helping you, you're helping me. But what if they're financially really tight? And it's just not possible sometimes to say, hey, hun, you can work lesser and then I can help you. So they both have to work full time. So what would be your advice to try and, build that balance and sanity in this family, to build harmony again, although they have to work full time?
Yes. I think a big piece, especially for moms, is giving yourself grace and changing your expectations. Like, it sounds bad to say lower your expectations, but lower your expectations. Like, if you can't, you're both working full time, you can't afford any help with house cleaning, then maybe your house just isn't as clean, you know, and maybe you do something quality family time instead. And especially if money is tight, and it sounds like time would be tight as well, you can do quality family time just at home, doing something simple. It doesn't have to be a super fancy thing. I feel like sometimes people try to do these elaborate things to have quality time together and moments of connection, and it actually causes more stress, and they don't even enjoy the thing that they were trying to do for fun. And something even just in the day-to-day that I think is so important, I have what I call points of connection.
Okay, nice.
Things that happen every day, and so they just focus. I'm able to focus because they are triggers for me. So I try to connect with my kids when they wake up.
Nice.
Pretty much no matter what I'm doing. Very often I'm working on my business in the morning when they wake up. Okay. I drop whatever I'm doing and I snuggle them and kiss them and ask them how they slept, and just take a moment to just think about how soft their skin is, and just smell their hair, and just you know, just like soak up every little second of that little moment together. And it's not long. Usually they're like, okay, you know, they get a few minutes of TV screen time in the morning, so they're off to do that. Nice. But that's a moment of connection with the kids. And then also bedtime is a big one for us. Right. And that's just where we read and just snuggle, and I tuck them in and I sing to them, and just trying to keep those moments, at least those 2 points with my kids, sacred. Right. And even if you are a stay-at-home mom, you can literally go the entire day and not ever be present with your kids. Because even though you're not off to a corporate job, you are physically near your kids. You
stressing what to do next, what to take care of next, what to clean next. I totally get you.
Yes. And so we also try to do some sort of activity every day. So we leave the house almost every morning, just a change of scenery, something to go do either together or a play date or something to break that up. As a stay-at-home mom, again, but as a working mom, you at least always have, like, God willing, everyone wakes up in the morning and goes to bed at night. So, you know, just making that a really mindful, intentional connection with your kids, asking them about their day, and just really connecting. I think that goes a long way.
I agree. In other words, it's like focusing more on quality versus quantity. And I believe that at the beginning of my parenthood, I did this mistake. My mistake was, I mean, of course, she was a much smaller baby back then. So yes, I understand she needed me more. But I believe that maybe because I was a first-time parent, so I was stressing a lot. Like, oh my God, where's my baby? Oh my God. Like every second I have to check on her, look at her, what she's doing. You know, I'm so scared she hurt herself. But actually sometimes she's fine. You know, she's just in a safe place. She's playing. And now as she's growing up more and more, I realize that it's really okay to focus more on quality, as what you said, in the mornings, and maybe in the day, like a few minutes here, a few minutes there. Like, just give her my 100%. And that means so much more than spending hours with her. But at the same time, my mind is not with her. So I'm like thinking about work, or I'm stressing about something else. And that to me is actually meaningless. So I've really learned that lesson, because if I flash back to when I was much younger, my mom used to work full-time as well as my dad. And I can understand that my dad used to work far away. So my mom, I really salute her. By the way, Mom, if you're watching, I love you so much. Yeah, she's just an amazing woman, because she took care of me and my brother all by herself, and for years. So she used to come back from work and she's really exhausted, and she still will try and cook for us. So I was like, whoa, Mom, you know, that's a lot. And me being the jabberjaw that I am, sometimes I would share with her, oh, Mom, my day went like this. And what broke my heart was she actually wasn't paying attention. She would be like, but she's reading the newspaper. But and I was young. I didn't know how to express myself that, Mom, please don't do that. That hurts, you know. Like, either you really are listening to me or you're not. But how to tell her she's my mom? Anyway, I know she didn't mean it, but at the same time, that's what I meant. You know, she's just stressed up, but she's trying to juggle, you know, like, oh yeah, I can read the newspaper and I can listen to my daughter, but actually she's not there. So anyway, yes, I totally agree. When you want to give that time, be quality, and not just do it for the sake of doing it.
Yes, and I've seen studies where they say that children who are raised by two full-time working parents or having a
Right.
stay-at-home mom, they feel just as loved. They're just as well adjusted. And I really love the quote by Carl Jung where he says, the biggest burden you can place on a child is the unlived life of a parent. So
Right.
especially if there's a parent who is passionate about like whatever their field is, and they work a lot because that is their passion. They love their family and their kids, but they also love their work, that is so important too. And you can, quote unquote, have it all, but it looks different. You have to shift your expectations. You can't do it all to the expectation of perfection.
Right. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Tabitha. All right. My next question for you. What would be your time management tips to help working parents so that their day runs a little bit more smoothly?
Yes, I really love what this zone scheduling system that I've sort of developed over time.
Ooh.
And yeah, it sounds fancy. It's basically just blocks of time so that you have some structure to get things done, but also it's flexible enough so it's not like you're, in your planner, everything's planned to the 15 minutes and, you roll out of bed and you're already 15 minutes behind and your whole day is screwed.
Okay.
So, but at the same time, if you have something that needs to get done, but you don't know when to do it, it just like, you realize at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I had this whole list of things to do and I procrastinated and I didn't do any of it because I didn't know where to start or when to do what.
Okay.
So my schedule looks a little different for my stay-at-home days, but I get up early and my morning block is I have a couple of hours, and it doesn't have to be hours, even a little bit of time to yourself.
Right.
I just kind of program my brain for having a better day. I have a few minutes to myself. I do that proactively versus reactively, like waking up to a crying baby or a child demanding breakfast is such a different energy when you start your day.
I agree. Like totally, woman, totally. It drives me nuts.
Yes. And I feel like whenever I do that, my whole day ends up being reactive. I don't have time to think. I feel just frenetic and all over the place. And so that early morning has really helped. And it gives me a little time to work on whatever project without being interrupted. It gives me some time to myself. I feel like that is my self-care. That is how I get daily self-care. And it's time just for me without the kids.
Beautiful.
And then I get ready for work, go to work, do all the things. And then the evening block is pretty much, that gauntlet of preparing dinner, making dinner. And there are some efficiencies in meal planning that something I'm working on even right now.
Right.
That really helps. And then the evening, just giving yourself like grace and time to relax, and something that I usually try to do in the mornings, and sometimes it's in the evenings, but I do what I call a turbo tidy, and that is literally setting a timer for 10 minutes, grabbing the vacuum, getting the big crumbs, wiping down the counters, maybe includes scrubbing a toilet or two, but just really quick clean. Not like I commit to hours of cleaning every day, but at least it knocks a layer off. And it can at least declutter. So maybe even if, there are crumbs on the floor, at least there aren't toys everywhere, kind of a thing.
Right.
So shifting that expectation again away from perfection, finding something that's comfortable fit for you and your family, and just kind of blocking those times where you do certain activities. So maybe you do a quick turbo tidy 10 minutes before you go to work, or maybe you do your quick 10 minutes when you get home. And there's also just a lot of little things, like we load the dishwasher and run it every night. And every morning I unload the dishwasher. So it's empty. And so throughout the day, as we have dishes, we put them straight into the dishwasher. So they're never on the counter, and no one ever has to really load the dishwasher. You load it throughout the day. So there's sort of little things. And again, if you're working full time, maybe that's less relevant. But there's kind of some little efficiencies that you can make like that.
You know, Tabitha, sorry, I was thinking, gosh, I wanted to share this with you just now, but it slipped my mind. Talking about not trying to be so perfect and not worrying too much about what people may view you as a parent. Oh my God, I have to share with you this story. Okay, so basically, sometimes on the weekends, I like to invite the parents of of my little one's friends. So from the daycare, I get to meet other parents. So I said, hey, you know what? Come over on the weekend. Let's have coffee together so
Mhm.
that your kid can play with my daughter, and because they already know each other, right?
Yes.
Um, and it happens every week, every week. So my husband is more the clean freak, and I am more the like, okay, I'm clean, but I like to be neat and tidy. But sometimes, oh my God, chill. That's not like on the top priority.
That's exactly
Um,
my dynamic.
so my
Yeah,
husband is like,
correct.
oh my God, no, we need to make sure the floor is clean. No, the crumbs. Oh, the toys. Oh,
Yep.
the clothes. And I'll be like, darling, you do know that the people coming over, they're also parents, right? Do you really think that their house is squeaky clean and all the toys are in place and there's no crumbs on the floor? I mean, come on. I said, darling, you just take a breath. Let's just make it as tidy as possible, but let's not drive ourselves nuts and clean until midnight because we are worried that, oh my God, when they come in the morning, what will they think? To me, I'm thinking, hey, if we are happy as a family, we wake up fresh, isn't that better rather than we wake up tired? But then we have a squeaky clean house and we are not really happy spending the day, with them or with our daughter. So I said, what is better?
Yeah, and it's squeaky clean for about 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. The kids come and I swear to you, it's like less than 2 minutes. Mama, like, oh, this toy is there, this ball is there, and I'm like, thanks,
Yep.
darling. I spent
Yep.
hours cleaning and 2 minutes is gone. Okay, but
Yep.
thanks a lot.
Yep. I don't know what it is about a clean space that children just feel that it needs to be touched. Like, you you clean your mirrors and your windows, and they're just like suddenly touching and licking, or driving their cars on the walls. I'm like, why are my walls dirty? Why?
Oh my God, the worst chocolate.
Oh,
Chocolate. Oh,
yes.
on the blanket, on the wall, on
Yeah. It does. It's like it oozes out of their mouth and onto their, it's everywhere. Chocolate is.
Okay. We can go on a whole episode of that. But all right, let me come back to this. Okay, I like just now what you said about waking up early. And honestly, I practice this also. I actually share this in some of my videos as well about how a parent can be actually, more productive and make sure that your day starts on a good note.
Yeah.
And I do believe that waking up early is a part of that because the rest of the day, when your little one is awake, she needs you and she will scream for mama or papa. And yeah, you just don't have time for yourself. So what do you think? Do you practice this every single day? I mean, of course, you said Sundays you sleep in, but apart from that, do you always wake up every single day early?
I certainly try to. Some weeks are a little crazy, and maybe I'll even have a second sleep-in day, not
Okay.
where I do wake up to the kids, but I need that extra rest. So it's kind of that balance. But for the
Right.
most part, I do wake up early, and I really do. Those days that I sleep in, I feel like I pay for it. Like I need to sleep, but I definitely don't feel like I'm as calm and centered. And those days can be challenging for sure. But something to point out, because some people are like, I'm just not a morning person, which I totally understand. I admit I have always been a morning person.
Right.
Get that from my dad. We're like straight up obnoxious in the morning. Like it's 5 a.m. here right now.
Okay.
But
oh yeah, you're right. I forgot to tell everyone. Oh my God, it's
so
like
dark. Yep.
just that all of y'all know, Tabitha is like the queen. She woke up at like 4 something, and 5 o'clock we started this live. So like kudos to you, woman, and thank you so much. I am so honored to have you here. So thank you for making time. Because of the time difference, you made it happen. But thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, yeah, sorry, continue.
Yes. No, but I think something that's important to note is you don't necessarily have to wake up hours before your kids. Right. It's not all about having more time to do more things. I mean, if you're running a business, for us, that's our working block. But if you aren't, that you really, even if you just wake up 15 minutes before your kids, that will completely shift your day because you'll have a little bit of time to yourself. You'll enjoy hot coffee, which is like a myth in motherhood, and just having that time to make yourself a priority, having a minute to think, really program your mind, like setting, again, with intentional parenthood, you can set an intention for the day. You can do affirmations, you can journal just to kind of explore where you're at, how you're feeling, just really connect with yourself and really just have a few minutes of peace and start your day proactively instead of reactively. And again, just waking 15 minutes before your kids can make a huge difference.
I completely agree. It's like, for me, why I wake up roughly about an hour. For me, I roughly wake up by an hour before my daughter wakes up. And the reason for this is because I like to get ready in peace. I don't know. This is just a personal thing. I really hate it when I'm trying to get ready for the day and maybe my daughter needs something or my husband asks me something or maybe my phone rings or something happens. And I'm like, it totally disrupts my mood. And I just want to get ready in a good mood and so that I am well prepared to, like you said, wake up on a good note and I can welcome them like, hey, darling, good morning. So this really works for me. So yeah, I really agree that waking up early really helps. Really, really helps.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, I have my next question. Since this whole pandemic started, I think you probably also noticed that on social media, there's a lot of this topic about self-care flying around more. What are your thoughts about this? Do you believe that self-care is really, really important and why, especially for working parents?
Yes, I do believe self-care is so important. I think that really self-love is essential for you to love you have to love yourself before you can give that to others. And I feel like self-care is an act of self-love, that it's really self-care is something you do to show yourself self-love. And I think you can really even link it directly to productivity, which feels so important, the all-important productivity. But self-care is essential for productivity, not a reward for being productive. And I think it's that rest or just giving yourself permission to have what you need. Like, so many times we feel like it's noble to deny ourselves what we want, and really for what,
Right.
And I think that self-care is absolutely important. And I think a big piece of it too is moms sometimes feel like, oh, that's just another thing to do. Like, I don't have time for a bubble bath. I need to be doing whatever. But I think self-care can be in so many different forms. And, maybe a bubble bath or a manicure doesn't feel replenishing to you, So there's lots of different kinds of self-care. Like, maybe self-care is a yoga class where you feel like you have kind of a mind-body connection, or maybe it is a bubble bath or a manicure, or maybe it's reading a personal growth book that makes you feel inspired and energized, or maybe it's reading a total junk book that's just super entertaining and fun. Like, it's just about learning what you need and giving yourself permission to allow yourself to have that, like, on a consistent basis. And I think daily self-care is really the best too. It's not this few and far between, again, a reward, like I got a lot done so I can have a bubble bath this week. And that, for us, is our morning routine, and that is very nourishing to me, to just have that time and peace to myself. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I don't need a whole day at the spa or something like that.
I wish I had that.
I couldn't say no to that either, but the little things, I think it doesn't have to be as extravagant, or I feel like sometimes people think it has to look a certain way, and it doesn't. It's like, whatever you need, allow yourself to give it to yourself.
I agree. For me, I don't know if you find this crazy or funny, but my little way of self-care is reading articles which I've been wanting to read, but I just didn't have time to read. So even if it's just 5-10 minutes, and I feel that I enriched my brain with new knowledge, I will just jump and like, yeah, I did it, because I know I don't have time all the time to really do what I want when I want it. So when I actually like get to do it, I'll be like, yes, and that feels so rewarding, because
Yes.
that's my way of self-care. And I really like what you said. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to be something like, oh yeah, I spent the whole day doing it. But even if little bit of rewards for yourself, I like to think of it like we have a cup, and when we don't fill our own cups, we are not able to give love to others. We're not able to have that energy to give, So I really feel that self-care is so important.
Yes. And I think on the productivity note, we get caught up in the fact that like we think more is better.
Right.
And it's about priorities. When you do the important things with love and care and intention, and you're present, and it's what matters, and that it aligns with who you are, it aligns
Right.
with your values. When you're in alignment, you don't feel like you have to do all the things. You don't feel like you have to have a Instagrammable home at every moment.
Right.
And it's a huge mindset shift. But when you make it, everything changes, because you're not focused on how hard everything is, because you're not making it harder on yourself unnecessarily. You feel happier and more fulfilled because you're giving yourself what you need, which makes you a happier mom, and you really set the tone in your home. And
Yes, yes.
the rest of your family feels happier, more content, and fulfilled as well.
Correct. Exactly. And it's really energy. I really feel when we interact with people, even whether or not it's with your husband or with your colleagues or friends and family, it's always energy. So like if I can give you good energy, that's the kind of energy I receive back. But if I'm feeling like crap that day, I didn't sleep well, and I feel like I'm neglecting myself, I didn't, get ready, I just feel bad. I don't feel the energy which comes back to me on that day is good. I'm just going to feel the whole day is crap. People are bad. The weather is bad. Everything is bad. And so it's energy. Do you agree? Energy?
I completely agree. And I think it's that, you could even go down the rabbit hole of the law of attraction, like what you are, you attract. Like attracts like. We are magnetic, energetic beings, and you're absolutely right. And it can seem difficult, and sometimes it doesn't feel like we have a choice, but we do have a choice, and we can choose to do things that facilitate a more energetic being, and we can choose to do things that are draining. We feel that out of obligation or societal expectation, or just doing what we think we're supposed to instead of what we know is important to us.
Exactly. Right. Question. Because, we talk about self-care, but perhaps it's a little bit more tricky for working parents. So what are your little tips for working parents? How can they inculcate a little bit of self-care here and there in their daily lives?
I think a morning routine, again, is a really good opportunity before the kids wake, before anyone at work is demanding your time. And when I worked full time, my lunch break was also, I would go for a walk and I would just listen to music, or I would listen to an audiobook, almost always personal growth or psychology, something to learn and grow as a person. I feel like learning is a big value for me and really energizes and motivates me. And I think that's part of why I do what I do, because it's so fun to learn and it's so fun to share what I've learned. And then I kind of learn even more from that, and especially sharing experiences and everything. But I think, and then it depends on your energy. Some people are night owls. So maybe your self-care is doing something fulfilling. And sometimes it can be just, watching Netflix, but usually that's maybe if you just need some rest. I mean, it really should be something that you need. Like if you just need a break, Netflix is good. But if you need some self-care and you're just feeling depleted, that it really, just think about what it is that you need. Do you need some time to even just meditate or reflect or journal, and just do it at a time where you feel like it's not another chore? Do it at a time in the day where it fits well, it feels natural, it's a good fit. So you really just have to follow your own energy on that one.
Tabitha, I something came to mind. So what I also used to do, especially when I'm working, is, or rather, I'm talking about my day job. Yeah. So before this, when I had my day job, what really worked for me was also during breaks. So
Mhm.
even if the break was just 30 minutes or 45 minutes, I would have my meal, but I would probably, depending, like what you said just now, really, I guess depends on my mood on that day. If I'm feeling exhausted, I would just take 20 minutes, I'll find a corner and I would just nap. It does wonders. Or even if I have, 20, 30 minutes extra, I would read an article, like I said, that really makes me happy because I know that I read something which boost my energy levels or inspired me, gave me new knowledge. So that really makes me happy. Or even sometimes I take that time to call my parents because it's not always easy to get them on the phone because of the time zone difference. So that also really, yeah, it's my way of self-care, and that really makes me happy. So I guess for any of you working parents, like what Tabitha shared, and I really love it, is you can find a time. There's always a time. It's just really just about shifting your priority. So it could be in the morning, it could be at the night. And for me, or if you're working, try to find that break in between and try and just slip in that 5-10 minutes. It really makes a world of a difference,
Mhm.
truly.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Right. So Tabitha, one more question is, as a family as a whole, what would you suggest for the whole family to kind of like bring more joy, harmony, and peace as a family together? What would be your advice?
I think kind of going back to the moments of connection and the quality time, like we talked about, quality over quantity. And for
Okay,
our family, dinner time is a really wonderful time of connection. Like
I
my husband
agree.
and I, we don't have our phones.
Or cooking together.
Yes, yes, yes. And actually, the way our house is laid out, I really love. We have kind of a bar at the edge of the kitchen. So we
Ah,
do. That is where we kind of hang out. The kids hang out. They watch whoever's cooking. We do. We chat during cooking meals. And then even if, we got takeout that night, we still eat dinner together. And yeah, the kids have to sit there, even if they don't like what dinner is. We have that time together. Gosh darn it. So, and I know there are some instances where maybe people work late and they're not able to do dinner. Maybe you could have some other kind of tradition or just something consistent that happens daily. And it doesn't happen every day, but it's
right.
something that you shoot for daily. And I think that, and really getting into like beyond the perfunctory questions of just like, how was your day? But just like, really, how are you feeling? And, talking about your hopes and dreams and the things that you're grateful for. And, just really connecting and just taking that opportunity to connect.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Tabitha. All right. So I know you shared so much, and I do believe that you've given a lots of good gems of advice here and there. But for the person who asked me this question, is there any last advice that you would like to share?
Um, I think it does just go back to that quality and being creative and also finding what works for you. I think
Mm,
um, it's good to see what other people are doing for ideas and inspiration, but to go back to just looking within yourself. What do I like? What works well for me? And doing
correct.
those things and not comparing yourself to what other people are doing,
Right.
and finding what feels most connecting for you with your kids and your family and
Right.
doing those things. And again, about priorities, making what is important to you happen, and what's less important, give yourself grace and allow it to fall away.
I love it when you say give yourself grace because that is so, so true. Comparison is the thief of joy. And sometimes when we just keep on comparing ourselves to others, we forget to give ourselves grace. And I hate all this, thinking like, oh, this person looks so perfect on Instagram, this person, or this mom and this dad. Many people forget that a lot of these things are just the photo in that moment, but could be seconds later. That's not reality of life.
Mhm.
So yeah, what you said, I totally, totally agree. So Tabitha, you are an awesome mom. Thank you so, so much. Truly, truly, I really feel I learned so much in this session. So thank you so much for sharing and for being here. To all of you lovely people who's watching, do you all have any questions for Tabitha? If you do, please do drop it in the comment section now. Okay, so we're gonna go on for a few more minutes. And while y'all drop your questions there, I just want to share with you that if y'all want to connect with Tabitha, she's on several social media platforms. So she's on Instagram, she has her own website, her blog, she has her Facebook page. She also has an account on Pinterest. So all those links, I've already put it in my description below. If you would like to connect with her, please do, especially your mamas and papas. If you'll need some really great tips and tricks from her, please do follow her account. It's amazing, inspiring, totally. This is really exciting. I love this. She has this free productivity masterclass for moms. It's so cool. Seriously, check it out. The link is in the description below. So Tabitha, maybe you can share just a little bit insights about what the masterclass includes.
Yeah. And if this message resonates with you, it is definitely along this same idea of discovering who you are and maybe some traps that we fall into with things that we think we want and realizing that we don't. And it also, we go into just really connecting with what works for you. I think that's something that's unique about my program, is that I feel like a lot of people tell you like, hey, this worked for me, it'll work for you, you do it too. And we really explore you working through what works well for you, because the solution to productivity and fulfillment is just as unique as you are. And so I can help walk you through the process, but I don't know the answers. It's within you. It's all about uncovering that within yourself.
Right. And this actually touches on what you said just now. You know, you can't compare yourself with another parent or another family, because every family dynamics is different and everybody's needs are different. Every baby sleeps at different times also. So example for that, I've also tried different sleeping programs, and oh my God, the results are different. You know, not every sleeping program works for every single baby. So again, point to note here. Yeah, so just, I really like that concept. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all would like some really good tips on parenting, productivity, do check it out. Okay, so somebody said, oh, so pretty. Thank you so much, Isabella. I appreciate that. People said you're very pretty. So
I'm not sure, 5 a.m, you know. I'm dressed. I'm dressed this early.
Okay. So one moment. Sorry. Actually, hey, come here. Come here. Hey, come here. Oh, careful, the cables. Careful. Sorry, my daughter just came. So hey, let's take a chance to say hi. Come here. Hey, my daughter. Hey. Oh, give mama a kiss.
Hi. Oh, she's so sweet.
Yeah. Finished her daycare, and hi, darling. My husband just fetched her. Yeah.
See, a beautiful point of connection can be pick up from daycare.
Yeah, I agree. You know, when my husband or I fetch her, she always runs to the door and she's like, mama, like she didn't see me for ages, and I'm like, oh, so sweet. But I just saw you 8 hours ago. But okay, never mind.
Yeah,
Still,
I'll take it. Oh, yes.
All right, Tabitha, I'm so sorry. I know I took a lot of your time, and I know your little one.
Awesome.
So so sorry. Okay, but so far there's no questions, but I do appreciate your time, Tabitha. You have been amazing. Thank you so much. And people said that thank you so much for sharing. They said you did a good job. So thank you so much, Tabitha. I will definitely keep in touch with you on Instagram and on all of the social media platforms. So good luck to you and your program. So to all of you who has tuned in, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Have a lovely weekend. Tabitha, to you also, thank you so much. Send my love to your family. So take care, all of you. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much. It was lovely being here, and I love your heart. I could just tell that you care so much, and this was such a beautiful time that we had together. So thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.